than the Rajai-Davis home run call. Do you have a favorite call besides that?
Les, it just, I've never looked at it as, do I have a favorite call? I mean, it just seems so self-serving. I think the Rajay Davis home run is the greatest moment that I've ever been a part of at Progressive Field. I mean, be it Jacobs Field, Progressive Field, I think that's the greatest moment in the history of that ballpark. And you think of the moments that we've had since it opened in '94, but with everything at stake, it's Rajay Davis. It's not Albert Bell against Aroldis Chapman. It's a guy not noted for home runs against a guy not noted for giving up base hits, much less home runs. And, for it to force extra innings, it's the most, in my mind, enjoyable moment in the history of the ballpark. I wasn't on the mic, Herb was, but boy, I'll tell you what, Les, when Kenny-Lofton scored from second in the Kingdom on a pass ball with Randy Johnson standing at home plate, having no idea that Kenny was scoring from second base, that's when you knew the Indians were going to the '95 World Series.
He
And
he
it
totally
was
fell
such a
asleep.
great moment.
Yeah, he totally fell asleep on that. I mean, he got to home plate to
Yep.
cover the plate as he should, but he never looked at third base where Lofton was coming from, and it was tough. You see that every once in a while, not at a game with that kind of stakes, but plays at
No.
first base when a guy, let's say there's a guy on second and there's a close play at first base, and first baseman wants to argue the call. Meanwhile, he's jumping around and some guy's turning around and scoring. You got to be in the game 100% of the time.
Yeah, and I think that's when you were like, I'll be darned. This incredible dream is going to become true. The Indians are going to the World Series. But, the Giambi home run to me was a big moment in the history of our ballpark, even though it came in 2013. It came when you got into the playoffs and you were gone after one game. But that had ended such a long gap of, not having very good baseball. And when he hit that home run, a two-run homer after the Indians had lost the lead, that was what catapulted the Indians into that 10-game win streak. I don't think if he hits that home run, Les, the Indians go to the playoffs in 2013. And while people may say, well, whatever, you were there one game, that was big for the ball club going forward, which would lead to 3 straight division titles. And probably what should have been a 4th playoff appearance last year is just you win 93 games and it wasn't enough.
When you think about it, the Davis home run that tied the game, and then Giambi with the home run, all these things you talk about, and the Indians still don't pull it off and win the whole thing. That just shows you how tough it is to win a World Series.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, you would also like to think, I just, maybe because you've had too much time to reflect right now, but over the last 4 years, the Indians have won the division, obviously, 3 times, and last year won 93 games. So you've had 4 years of, if it wasn't playoff baseball, probably should have been. And yet in all of those years, Les, the club's never been healthy coming down the stretch and going into postseason. That's what's been frustrating, at least from my side of it, is that woulda, coulda, shoulda. What would it have been like to be healthy going into those playoffs in the World Series? That's the beauty of sports. We'll never know. But to your point, you also have to get lucky every once in a while. I think back to 2016, I think we got lucky from the standpoint, Les, the series with Boston began in Cleveland, not Boston. That club was so young, and of course, the situation with the injuries to the pitchers. Had that best of 5 started in Fenway, I don't know that we're talking about a 2016 World Series. So, the Indians have caught some breaks too.